Dear Professor, it is a pleasure to present to you our presentation as our final exam. Our group has been assigned the topic, the letter of complaint. In this occasion, we will provide a previous explanation, mention the vocabulary, describe the paragraph plan, and give hot tips related to the letter of complaint to understand it and knowing how to write it in the most accurate way. Let's begin. A letter of complaint is a written communication with the purpose of address the problem, keep records of the complaint, and seek a productive resolution. Imagine you bought a cell phone a week ago, but when you got home, you discovered it did not work properly. You called customer service to report the problem, but you have not received any help. So, now you should address the problem and write a letter of complaint to the company explaining the problem. In this way, your complaint is recorded for proper attention in future reference, and so that a suitable solution can finally be found. Regarding its uses, we can say that it is used as a form of communication to raise your concerns with a product, service, or to cover other types of grievances. Anyone can use it when they have had a bad experience with a service, person, or product, and this allows for the most optimal solution to the complaint presented. Some additional characteristics we can mention are that its register is formal, requiring polite language and appropriate vocabulary. Additionally, the format should be clear, concise, brief, and use easily readable fonts. Moreover, the content should specify necessary details and include evidence, request a solution to the problem, provide relevant contact information, and include the signature of the writer.
Now, vocabulary in context. So, the first question is, what type of vocabulary can we find in this type of text? In letter of complaint, we found nouns, items and phrase verbs, connectors, adjective, adverb, and verbs. In nouns, we have dismay, which means the feeling of despair in the face of obstacles. Service, it means work done by a person or a group to benefit another. Staff, it's a person who assists their superior in carrying out an assigned task. And there we have some examples to how to use this word in sentence. Now, company, an institution created to conduct business. The word complaint, it's an expression of grievance or resentment. And refund, it's a sum of money that is paid back to you, especially because you paid too much or because you returned goods to a shop. And also we have some examples too. Noun, items, and phrase verbs. For items, we have on behalf of someone, it means done for another person's benefit or support, or because you are represented the interest of that person. Put up with something or someone, that is a phrase verb, is to accept or continue to accept unpleasant situation or experience. We have some examples there too. Now with connectors, we have however, in addition, eventually, unfortunately, in fact, although, and also we see some examples too. Now, with the word adjective and adverb, we have faulty. It means not perfect, not working or made correctly. And example, I found that the temperature control was faulty. And finally, for coming, it's only before a noun. Take a look at that. It means going to happen, be upon it, see, and then we have a list another example.
Now let's look at some useful verbs. We can use report to formally bring in an issue or problem to someone's attention. Assure can be used when referencing promises made by the company. We also have expect, to believe that something will happen or that somebody will do something about the issue. State is used to clearly articulate the issue or facts. Provide, to give something to somebody use related to the complaint. And encounter, to describe the problem that occurred. The step-by-step guide to effectively writing a letter of complaint typically involves a structured approach of 5 paragraphs. But before we dive into each one, it's also important to note that in this type of formal writing, we should indicate the recipient or company and convey respect. Therefore, a letter of complaint also has to include a salutation and closing. With that being said, now let's see what the main parts are and the purpose they serve. First, we have the introduction of the complaint. This section sets the stage by stating the reason for your dissatisfaction or issue. Then comes the self-introduction. Mentioning your connection to the company or the product helps establish context and credibility. Following that, provide the background and description of the problem, describing what happened in detail. This helps the recipient understand the full scope and nature of the problem. Next, discuss the prior actions, mentioning any steps you've already taken to resolve the problem and the outcome or lack thereof, to demonstrate your effort to resolve the matter. And finally, request for resolution and expected response. This section ensures that your intentions and desired outcomes regarding your complaint are explicitly communicated.
The next part is the strategies for writing a complaint letter with success. A complaint letter is a document with a formal character. Therefore, it's necessary to write using formal words. In the first part, give the salutation and name of the person to write to. The next thing to do is provide details about your complaint and the date when it was issued. In addition, it's relevant that you write your name and give your contact information, name, address, telephone, email, and zip code if you want to be contacted by the person or store. In the next paragraph, describe the background, what happened, and the issues about the product or service, number order, date of purchase, brand, model, and express your dissatisfaction. Next, what did you do to resolve the situation? In this case, the customer called the service department to look for a solution. After that, what action do you want the person or company to take? Describe the different alternatives that you consider enough to solve the complaint. Finally, finish the complaint with a formal closing and signature. If you have copies of relevant documents, attaching them could be persuasive to get a response quickly. Useful vocabulary. These openings are going to help to write better a complaint letter.
In this part of the presentation, I want to talk about some hot tips divided into 3 categories: pieces of advice, restrictions, and warnings. Let's start with the first. Pieces of advice. It is a formal writing, so we must use formal expressions and vocabulary. Some examples could be, "Dear Mr., to whom this may concern, yours sincerely." Use formal conjunctions to join your ideas. For instance, we have unfortunately, therefore, moreover, nevertheless, and alternatively. It is essential that you consider these pieces of advice while writing your letter of complaint. Let us continue with the second category: restrictions. Try to avoid the usage of general and phrasal verbs. Some examples of this could be buy, write down, call off. Do not express emotions or feelings in your letter, since this could be manipulated. In this section we can mention I think, sorry, disappointed, unhappy. And finally, the last category, warnings. Never start a letter without knowing the person whom you're referring to, or at least the position of this person. Some examples are Mr. Smith, dear Miss in charge. Be careful with the spelling of words you're using. Since this is a formal letter, you need to corroborate that the spell of your words is correct. Remember that wrongly spelled words always make a complaint less forceful. In this part, the examples we have are amount, misspelled with a double M, reimbursement, misspelled with a missing I and E, and concern, misspelled with an incorrect M instead of an N. And finally, we have arrived at the end of our presentation. Here we have the references where it's mentioned all the resources and sources used in our research and elaboration of our presentation. Thank you so much.